Number 2 of transforming your lifestyle. So step number 2 is to cut out destructive habits. So habits that aren't serving you. So what I mean by that is habits that don't serve your health, happiness, and life. So think right now to yourself. Can you think of some habits that don't serve your health, your happiness, and your life that you engage in? Think about it, because that's what we're going to be talking about now, how you can cut them out. So these are my top tips that I personally learned of cutting out habits. So you've got to decide and commit. You've got to decide what you will do specifically. 6 years ago, I decided that, I was in a place where I was on drugs. I was in hospital, I'll get to that in a minute. I got to a place where I was taking a lot of drugs. I was drinking. I just wasn't looking after myself. And, I decided that I'd commit to this healthy diet. I started a plant-based diet. I started exercising. I started practicing meditation. And I started feeling better in myself, and what led on to that is more and more decisions. So it started with a decision. Now, I believe in absence first, moderation later. If you have an unhealthy relationship with something, you need to first build absence. Then from that, you can build moderation, if you want to. So for me, I actually went sober for 4 years before then I can have an occasional couple of drinks now, and I'm able to moderate it. But it was only because I built the self-discipline, the purpose in my life. I've got more reasons to not escape, to not go back on my old patterns. So I feel like I've reframed, I've created mental clarity, and now I've got that confidence in the ability to moderate myself. But if you don't have a healthy relationship, trying to say, I'll reduce it, telling an alcoholic to go to a bar and have 1 pint, it doesn't always go down well. Do you understand? So you got to think, speaking with your food as well, with your addictions, you've got to think, okay, do I need to go absence of this, at least for a period of time? So you've got to make a decision. You decide exactly what you're going to do. I decided I would quit smoking. I decided I would eat better. I decided I wouldn't drink alcohol anymore. Now the next step so the first step we had, the first tip I just gave you, was you've got to decide. You've got to make a decision on what you're going to do. Now, the second step is to create the identity change. Now, there was a lot of this that I'm teaching you, by the way, is from someone called Tony Robbins. And there was a quote by Tony Robbins that said, the most powerful force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. The most powerful force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. So whoever we believe we are, that runs our life. So I started personally deciding that I'm not this person anymore, that I'm going to be somebody else, right? I'm not going to smoke anymore. Now, that's what you need to do. Like, if you think about it, let's just say someone came up to you and said, do you want to shoot some heroin right now with me? Now, unless you're a heroin user, the chances are you're probably going to be like, no, I'm good, because that's not who you are. That's not something you would do. If you're someone who goes out and gets drunk at the weekend and somebody says to you, do you want to go out and get drunk? It's an option. But if you're someone who doesn't drink, or you're not a binge drinker, that's not an option for you. That doesn't really require discipline. That's just part of who you are. Who you believe you are determines what you will do, what you won't do, what you can do, and what you can't do. So you've got to really question who you want to be. And moving on from that, so we've got the identity change. There are two barriers to this. You've got internal and external. Now, for the internal, you can change this by creating a vision, by getting some role models, some people you can look up to who you want to become. And you can also change your language. So rather than saying, I shouldn't eat this, I don't want to eat this, or I can't eat this. Instead, you say, I don't eat this, or I don't drink this, or I don't drink, right? And then you start to condition that to yourself to change your identity. Now, on the external part, that's where it gets more challenging because people believe you to be a certain person. So, for example, if you're a heavy smoker, you've tried to quit smoking multiple times, right? And you say to somebody that you're not smoking anymore. They'll say, yeah, whatever, come on. Come out for one, right? And when they say that, you're going to be pulled to say, oh, go on then. Because they remind you of who you was. But the only way you can change it, the best way you can change it is, well, you've got to watch out for people that obviously are going to pull you back. You might have to limit your time with them. But what you can also do is you can transition your identity. And the way you do that is you do a softer tone first. So you say, for example, I'm going on a detox from it right now. I'm going to try 30 days without it. So it's not as threatening to them, right? It's not like, well, yeah, okay. Then you say, well, I'm not smoking. I'm not liking it. And then you change to, I'm not a smoker, or I'm not a drinker, or whatever you want it to be. And then you can build the absence and then create the moderation later. And then the third step to overcoming destructive habits, to taking them out of your life, is to start feeling good from the inside. And the only way you can help yourself to feel good from the inside is to, again, we've talked about habits, creating the habits. You've got to master your mindset. You've got to look after yourself. I remember when I was in hospital, after taking too much ketamine, and my mom was looking over me. And I remember hearing after that my mom said that when I was in the state, I can't remember it, when I was in the, ketamine-induced state, she asked me, she and the nurse asked me, why I had taken it. And I said that I just wanted to feel good. And I think so many people, just want to feel good. And, they go to habits that disempower them. They want to get out of pain and into pleasure. So we've really got to take control of how we feel internally and find better ways, more empowering alternatives to address that. So you've got to obviously change your mindset. You've got to look after yourself from the inside.